All right, we just want to mirror the video. Okay, it's a short news day. Nevertheless, we always like to get on here and talk to the folks. But for you guys who do tend to follow the news, whether it's mainstream media, news on the far left, or news on the right, there's no illusions that President Biden does seem to be teaming up with Vladimir, not to be confused with Vladimir Zelensky of the Ukraine. So we're going to be asking a question. First question off the draw today is, do you support President Biden supporting the Ukrainian effort to maintain their sovereignty? Make no mistake about it, Russia was trying to take over that entire country. First, they took over Georgia, 2008. They took over Crimea in 2014, and now they're invading them again in early 2022. So there's no denying that Russia has some plans for the Ukraine. So we're going to be asking that question to start off the live stream is, do you as a voting constituent in America support our commander-in-chief's support of Vladimir Zelensky in protecting the Ukraine? There's no denying that without American intervention, American support, American providing weaponry to the Ukrainians, they would probably be already out of this fight. Maybe not mentally, but likely physically. So do you support President Biden getting involved in this? Real quick, looking in the comments, we have a second question, but this is obviously one that's important because it could lead us down a path towards a stronger involvement in the conflict, because there is no doubt that if someone was helping one of our adversaries with weaponry, they would also become an enemy of the United States. So it is apparent that we are currently in a proxy war with Russia. Under President Trump, many of my beloved MAGA would state he didn't get us in any new major conflicts on the world stage, and with Biden, we seem to have a little bit different. Looking in the comments, I see some of you guys are definitely saying no, you don't support President Biden teaming up with Vladimir Zelensky in this effort, but there are plenty of that say they do. Real quick, going to the box, by the way, tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000 likes. I always ask that. Very small amount of us in here today, so I don't know if that's possible on this backup page, but show your boy some love, tap the screen, do what you can. Rainy, good afternoon, Rainy, if TikTok lets you in. Good afternoon. What do you think about President Biden assisting Vladimir Zelensky in protecting the Ukraine?
I actually think it's a good thing, honestly, and let me tell you why. So, under George Bush, Russia annexed Georgia, right? They
Right,
went into a whole nother country, and
right.
then under Obama, we did nothing under that, right? The U.S.
Well,
did
under
nothing.
under
Hold
Obama,
on.
under Obama you had Crimea was also in 2014. Georgia
That's
happened
what I
in
was getting
2008.
to. That's what I was
Yeah.
getting to. We did nothing under Crimea. So to me, this man is not going to stop. My point is, at what point when he tries to take over Poland and then American people have to be killed in combat and war? So to me, this is a cheaper proposition. None of the American blood is being spilled, in my opinion. And literally, we just spent trillions of dollars over 20 years in Afghanistan. I mean, it's not like this money it wasn't already being spent, in these crazy wars
But
anyway.
what about the notion that you can't automatically assume that he's going to go from the Ukraine to another country? What if his only goal was to take over the Ukrainians? Because just like what you're saying, that's what folks on the left, even folks like myself, tend to believe is he probably would not stop at the Ukraine. But can we automatically make that assumption and literally go to a proxy war based on it?
Yeah, because he already said he wants to reunite the Soviet Union. And if you think about the Soviet Union, that's a lot of our allied places or countries. So in my opinion, we need to stop this fool now. So that's kind of the way I see it. And I think, like I said, it's money spent in a right way, and none of my people have to die. And then if you think about some of the money, I know people have this crazy notion that the US is sending truckloads of money. All the weapons are being made in the United States of America. All the tanks and all of that. So it's all going to American business. All American jobs are being created to fund this war, right? And so to me, I just feel like we got to look at things from a different level, in my opinion. This is
Right.
not some giveaway of monies to folks, right?
So let me ask you this. After, let's say, for instance, Zelensky is able to stop Russia and they come up to some type of peace deal or whatever that Russia backs off. What's next? Do we let them join in Ukraine? I mean, do we let them join NATO or the United Nations? I mean, because otherwise their nation will be forever vulnerable. I mean, I would assume that after this is over with, if they survive, they're going to be begging to become members of NATO.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but I think the president already made them like not a part of NATO, but there's some sort of pseudo name that they gave him, like an alliance of the NATO countries. So, but neither here nor there. I don't know that our people should be willing to die, even for Sweden. We just added Sweden and Finland into the NATO alliance. I just don't want my country having to be in these wars for for other countries.
Right,
So I don't
right.
know. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about NATO expansion when it comes to Ukraine. I think those guys are beasts and they're handling their own. I mean, if you remember in the beginning, we were told they only had like 3 weeks and Russia was gonna,
Yeah.
storm them over, and they've
But
lasted all year.
with American intervention, the reason they are lasting this long is because of us. And now we have stepped up our game and we're going to be giving them Patriot air defense missiles because that's one of the things they could not do is protect the air. So we have now given them Patriot air defense weapons, which are pretty successful. They've been used around the world in terms of shooting down whether it's drones or incoming ordnance and things like that. So now we're giving them Patriots as well. So that is where people are arguing is like we should put a limit on what we give them because the Ukrainians want us to give them weapons that allow them to start launching attacks inside of Russia. I mean,
Well,
and
I
that's
think
how.
they should.
Go ahead.
I think they should give them what we give to Israel, the Iron Dome. I feel like that could probably be more beneficial in this scenario.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion. I'm not a military expert, but in my mind, when I saw all those rockets going over to Israel from, who was it? The Palestinians,
yeah.
those folks, to me, and it just blocked all those missiles. I don't know. To me, it seems like that might be beneficial too.
Yeah, but there's two reasons. There's two issues. First, the Israelis are a full blown ally. Second, those weapons, like we talk about the Iron Dome or even the Patriot batteries we're sending them, that stuff is super expensive. So that when you launch a counter missile to take down something that's coming in, most of the stuff that Russia is firing into the Ukraine is only going to cost a fraction of those Patriot missiles fired up to destroy it. So it becomes an issue of if they send over enough ordnance, we cannot afford to send up enough missiles to knock them down because the missiles cost so much damn money.
Mm, fair. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually saw this morning. One of the generals was saying the unit itself is close to $1 billion, and then
yeah,
the missiles are like 500,000, or I mean, it's just like some crazy number of money that this stuff costs, right? And so, I mean, listen. I mean, I don't know. To me, we have an extra one apparently, so why not give it to them? And my understanding is the U.S. is creating something way bigger and better for our own military usage. And so it's like, okay, well, if we're already about to, get new shit anyway, just go ahead and give them that one. Apparently, we have 72 of them that we already have in our arsenal. So.
yeah. Well,
But
and
I
I
just
just wanted
wanted
to
to
bring that
add
up because
that little feedback on there. I think it's a good thing, and as long as my people don't gotta die over there, I'm happy.
fair enough. I got a second topic, and since we got a pretty small audience here, I appreciate you guys that are tapping the screen, but we have a fairly small audience due to whatever the hell TikTok is doing with the algorithms. Second question, Trump's taxes. 6 years. Took 6 years. Why do you believe he's been holding that back for so long? What's likely to come out of that?
I think he didn't. I mean, obviously, if you looked at it, he's been claiming he's a billionaire, and none
Yeah.
of that showed he was a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was the only reason why. But, honestly, I'm
Is it,
so over him. He's
but if
exhausting.
the if Trump supporters, the MAGA folks, suggest that what they're doing is literally political, just trying to smear this man, do they have a point? I mean, is there any legitimate reason why they want to put his taxes on blast like that? He's not a president right now.
Well, yeah, because they wanted to see if he was. Remember, he was credibly, like consorting with the enemies, with Putin and all types of people. You know what I'm saying? Like Jared Kushner and $2 billion, from the Saudis and stuff. So it made logical sense. And then obviously, every president that we've had since the '70s or since Nixon has submitted their taxes to the Congress
Yeah.
and to the American people. So to me, and also the IRS has audited every president's taxes. And then come to find out, the IRS, Steve Mnuchin, never touched his taxes, never did a
Yeah.
single audit while he was
How did that
president.
happen? It kind of makes you wonder, how did that happen that the audit
Because
skipped Trump?
they're all conspiring together, all of them. I
Mm,
think all the PPP money, they stole that money too. That's my theory is Mnuchin, all those guys stole the money from the IRS. That's my opinion.
wow. All right, Rainey. Appreciate you coming through. Good
All right,
talk. Come
darling. If
on
we
back here.
don't talk to you, have a Merry Christmas, my friend.
Absolutely. The sentiments exactly. Catch you on the next one.
All right.
Looking at the comments, he refused to submit his taxes. As a president, he has to. I don't know if Trump or any president by law has to release their taxes. In my opinion, my humble opinion, and you guys can tell me where to get off at, but in my personal analysis, it looks like the way we dealt with presidents, a lot of it is on the honor system. And Trump came along and proved, or better yet, gave us reasons to doubt if we should continue doing things on the honor system, such as if he's able to contemplate or at least question whether he can pardon himself, for instance. It's crazy that there has not been an actual black and white law in place to make it so that any president that's under investigation doesn't have the right to do that. The fact that he was able to ask and not necessarily get a clear-cut answer shows that that is something that's been done on the honor system that probably needs to be rethought out. No one that's being investigated should be able to literally pardon themselves. So when you do things on the honor system, just like the taxes, you just assume that in honor of addressing the American people who are concerned with your finances, you assume every president would be an open book and give that information over. That was an assumption. It was done on the honor system. Trump came along and said, no, legally I don't have to, so I'm not. So it's cases like that where we may end up having to come up with actual laws in black and white. Another issue would be, could Mike Pence overthrow the election of 2020? Yet again, something that needs to be in black and white because Trump was obviously asking him to do that. So they had this whole thing on the honor system, and Trump comes along, and all of these things, he was able to, at the very least, push the envelope and see where he could get with this stuff. So my guess is they're going to certainly end up passing laws after Trump to prevent what happened. Another one would be to claim that Nancy Pelosi was responsible for bringing in the National Guard. Once again, not a very clear scenario because before Trump, no president had done anything like that that would lead to you needing the National Guard. So we got all of these crazy cases where you got the Capitol building is under siege and you got Nancy Pelosi on the inside, President Trump safely on the outside, and they're literally debating who should call in help. All of these things need to be made more clear now because of President Trump, whereas, like I stated before, it was often done on the honor system. Well, he's come along and actually gave us a reason to realize that you cannot always do it that way. What happens if somebody pushes something or pushes a limit of something in a direction that you're not a big fan of? Now, clearly a lot of MAGA strongly supported Trump not releasing his taxes. After all, the Democrats are going to demonize him, which I believe, I agree with. They're going to use his taxes against him, show he didn't pay a hell of a lot of federal taxes and things like that. They're going to demonize him. So to prevent that bullshit from happening, he shouldn't release his taxes. Fair enough. But if Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or a liberal did it, the same folks defending Trump would be calling it shady. So it needs to have some type of black and white rule so that this doesn't happen again. Because Trump is not going to be the last businessman. In fact, he was not the first businessman to run for office. He may have been very successful, but Mitt Romney, George W. Bush, these guys were business people. So you don't want presidents coming in and pushing the envelope in all of these different directions. And Trump, being a successful businessman, being a guy who has faced all sorts of lawsuits and litigation in his past, up to and including having someone like Michael Cohen as a cleaner, he's perfected pushing the envelope, delaying, things, paying off folks with NDAs and all of that. So you need to have a black and white system when someone like that comes along. Because if there is any opening, this person is savvy enough to find it. Not saying what he did is wrong, just simply saying that as an American voter that wants transparency, if you make it so that a president does not have to be transparent, you can't blame one for exploiting that avenue. Looking in the comments, 11 times during Trump's certification, Democrats objected. What was Trump being certified for? You mean for president? Do you really believe the shit that comes out of your mouth? Says Georgie Porgy. Listen, I'm here to talk to the folks. And by the way, folks, tap the screen. This is a MAGA-friendly program. I do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. If you come in a box, I always make the solemn promise your First Amendment free speech rights will always be protected here. The fact that you may disagree with the host doesn't mean a damn thing. As Georgie Porgy asks, do you agree with the words that are coming out of your mouth? It's a good question. Yes, I do tend to believe what I am stating, but nevertheless, I will give the disclaimer that these are my opinions. This is my analysis, which is why I always enjoy having guests from the other side of the aisle. There's no shortage of times where your humble correspondent has conceded a point. I get people on the other side all the time. This is not a program of the host knows it all and everybody calling in is a damn idiot. We don't do that here. Sometimes the host is the idiot. So I do welcome your input. And as you see, even reading a comment like yours, I don't have a problem with hearing from the other side. So feel free to come on in, folks. All right. None of Herschel Walker's white friends are answering his calls. Delta 331, some would argue, and I'm assuming you're probably one of them as well, that Herschel Walker was only picked to run for Senate in Georgia primarily because of his race and obviously because he was a friend of Trump. There are no shortage of Republicans right now in December of 2022, that are openly admitting Herschel Walker was a flawed candidate from the beginning. Same thing with Dr. Oz. Very same thing with Dr. Oz. Hell, Dr. Oz probably has damaged his entire image behind this. Think Oprah's going to give him another TV show? Probably not. Tell what the black comedian said about Trump again. Thomas Gore, 366. What did the black comedian say about Trump? That question, we could probably discuss that for the next 6 hours. Every black comedian in this country has done material on President Trump. Hell, they all done material on Biden, Bush, you name it. I mean, he's the president of the United States. And then obviously with Trump getting involved in such controversial issues, there was always, Dave Chappelle said on Saturday Night Live, we should get a guy a chance. So I don't know where you're going with that, but there's a hell of a lot of black comedians giving commentary on President Trump. So don't know where that's going. Biden for hospice house. Did anyone see Vladimir Zelensky, which is what we're asking about today? Did anyone see him and Zelensky giving a speech yesterday? I don't know, folks. For all you guys that keep saying that Biden has dementia, he don't know where the hell he's at most of the time. He can't read without a teleprompter. He can't string together two sentences. He sure does get on television and prove that wrong over and over again. I don't get it. I see the guy is aging. I'm fine with that. I understand the guy has a stuttering problem, which most of you folks do not attribute to stuttering. You attribute to dementia. I don't know. At the end of the day, I will just say this. There are plenty of Republican senators, plenty of Republican Congress and governors that have access to President Biden, have been in meetings with him, whether it's for FEMA assistance or whatever's going on with the election. I have not heard of any Republican senator or congressperson coming out and saying this guy has dementia and he needs to step down. For the most part, the overwhelming majority of the folks who are diagnosing Biden with dementia has no access to the man. They're doing it through the TV screen. So I don't know. I just simply don't know. I'm not here to pretend like I'm some sort of neurologist or some sort of physician that can diagnose this shit. I'm just simply saying it is odd that all of these Lindsey Graham types and Mitch McConnell types that have actual access to the president not coming out and saying he has dementia. That doesn't make any sense. Seems like they would say something. They criticize him on everything else like they're supposed to. Why not bring this up? Looking in the comments, I go with who's actually making our country better, and it's not Biden, bros, and sisters. Well, John Lard, it depends on what you refer to as making America better. I mean, that's the whole slogan of MAGA, make America great again. But he didn't win a second term. So clearly there were people who did not believe Trump was taking the country in the right direction. And when you look at all of the candidates he endorsed in the midterms, it also appears as if there are people who do not want to give him a second chance. So is Biden failing our country? Many would argue yes. But many of the people who believe Biden is a disaster also do not want Trump back. So we'll have to see what 2020 beholds. Because it was rigged, says Fortnite. You know, it's difficult to, in regards to the election, whether it was rigged and things like that, that is very similar to the Kennedy assassination. There will be forever folks suggesting that it did not take place in the way it was delivered to us. Was it rigged? We don't know. But based on what we've received from the courts, from the election officials, from a host of Republicans, by the way, I don't see enough evidence to come back and agree with Trump in his claim that he won by a landslide. I just don't see it. Here's my opinion. If it was all liberals, all of the flaws, all of the, I guess you'd say the voting improprieties, if all of that was coming from people with a D behind their name, a Democrat, we could have a discussion. But there are far more Republicans in office suggesting Trump lost than there are saying he won. And I'm not talking about Democrats. Now, the obvious inclination from my beloved MAGA folks is that anyone that does not agree with Trump on the election is a rhino. I don't buy that. I don't buy that the only thing protecting you from being a true blue Republican is agreeing with Trump. That doesn't make sense to me. But at the end of the day, if you were to put on paper the number of Republicans that believe Trump was, the election was stolen from Trump versus the number of Republicans that believe Trump lost, the number of Republican politicians will overwhelmingly be in the camp that Trump lost. A lot of true blue, well-respected conservatives are coming out and saying the man lost. Most of the people that claim Trump won are holding no public office. None at all. Just regular citizens saying that have no access to anything. But the people who are actually on the ground have access, the folks working in the courts, the people who are controlling the election, all of those people, many of them Republican, are saying the man lost. What am I supposed to do? Discard all of the reputable officials and go with somebody who has no access to anything? If that's the case, let's go with Candace Owens in suggesting that George Floyd passed away from fentanyl. No access to the body, no access to the autopsy or anything. Did the whole thing over the TV screen. Why not just do it like that? Looking in the comments, the Georgia Republicans say he lost. That's not true because the governor of Georgia is Kemp. President Trump does not like Kemp for saying that he lost the election. The governor of the state doesn't believe Trump won. So that's not true in suggesting that the Republicans of Georgia believe he won. Looking in the comments here. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, you said they said he lost. That's fine. Okay, I misspoke there. Why y'all wasting my tax dollars? Don't you think Trump returns already went through the IRS? Miss Beans, everything we do in this country damn near is wasting your tax dollars. Good input, by the way. Whether it's going into the Ukraine, it's going to be something you don't agree with, just like us liberals did not agree with Iraq. If every single citizen got to state where their tax dollars went, and they made sure their tax dollars did not go to anything they thought was bullshit, nothing in this country would get done. Because everything that we do with our tax dollars has millions of citizens saying, I don't want my money going to that shit. There's almost nothing they do with your tax dollars that everybody unilaterally agrees, yes, we need money for that. So at some point, they have to waste your tax dollars. I hate to say it like that. Going to the box, it is Rainy. I don't know. For some reason, I got to... We'll bring you back on. Rainy, good afternoon. Welcome back.
Sorry, I just had one more comment. I'm reading your comments here, and the point that you're making, or the folks in the comments are making, that he's sending all this money elsewhere. It's like, but no, Joe Biden is literally trying to spend the money here in America. You think about the student loan forgiveness. Who's fighting against that? That's for American people.
Yeah.
The people that don't want Brittany Griner to be brought home, even though she's an American. Paul Whelan.
Well, wait. They don't believe Brittany Griner is a patriot because she didn't come out for the anthem or some bullshit. But according to them, Brittany Griner is not an American worth the effort.
And that's what's so sad. And again, I think I talked to you about this before. I feel like our tribalism has just taken over.
Yeah.
Right? That everybody's so tribal at this point. No matter what, Joe Biden could literally cure cancer, and these people still wouldn't respect him because he defeated their person.
But I have to counter and basically say the same thing. If Trump cured cancer, we probably would find a problem with his cure as well. I mean, it comes from both sides.
I told you, like, before, Trump could have won re-election easily. When he got COVID 3 weeks before the election, all that fool had to do was say, you know what, this shit is real. Fake it for 3 weeks, wear a mask, do some shit, take the COVID thing situation like serious. And he would have won. Joe Biden won because Republicans switched their votes to him. That's why he won. And they don't see that.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there's been a host of Republicans that voted for Trump or voted for Biden, or they sat out the election, which answers the question, how could somebody like Biden in his basement have gotten more votes than Obama? He didn't get the votes. Trump lost the votes.
That's pretty much it. If you think about it, a lot of those people voted for Biden on the top of the ticket, but they voted down ballot for a Republican. So you guys got to look at that. Trump was the problem. He was poison. He's a poison to your party. And that's what I don't understand. But back to Biden, like, Biden is trying to say, like, look, man, I think everybody should get $15 minimum wage. I think people in America should have access to health care. Social Security needs to be increased, Medicare, all these things Joe Biden is trying to say for the American people. But who fights against him? The Republicans.
Okay, I got to move it on, but I got one question before I do move it on. Brittany, this is in the comments coming from J. Budrow. Brittany Griner definitely fit this administration's agenda. What do you think is meant by that? Brittany Griner fit the liberal agenda? What does that mean?
I'm assuming because she's black. I mean, because they try to say the Democrats are identity politics. I'm assuming, again, she's an American. And that's what I don't understand. And I feel like that the argument is, oh, well, he should have brought home Paul Whelan. But a lot of these people don't even know Paul Whelan was born in Canada. He ain't even a American-born citizen.
Yeah, and he was.
So it's like they don't care. They
Yeah, he's
look at
also
it from a different point of view is because the black woman got chosen over a white man, and that's never happened. So I'll leave it at
damn,
that. And I
damn.
feel like you guys need to get out your feelings. She's an American citizen, and the president brought her home. And all the black people who sit here and try to, get on the same gravy train, for the first time in U.S. history, a black woman got chosen over a white man. So you guys need to like get out your feelings. She's American. She's home. It is what it is. Thank you.
Hey, good talk. All right, look in the comments. Black woman got chosen over a white guy. Do you think, for you guys in the audience that are tuned in, do you believe that that had anything to do with the uproar? A black woman got chosen over a white man. Wow. Hey, by the way, tap the screen, get your boy up to 10,000 likes. For some reason, the algorithms do seem to be working at this point. For you guys that are now watching, I'll go right back to the box. And when I go to the box, I give my solemn promise. I do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. Do not let the name of this program deter you. This is a MAGA friendly show. MAGA are my preferred guests, but liberals are welcome nonetheless. All right, going back to the box. It is Moosey 256. I almost
Okay,
said,
I want to go off what she was
what's
talking
up?
about. I want to go off what she was talking about. She said that she was picked over a white man, which I understand. But
Yeah.
we chose to give up a nigga that could possibly
Hey,
destroy us.
hey, 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 hey.
Oh,
I don't give a damn what you say. I'll never ban you, but TikTok will. So
oh damn,
don't throw the N word out there. All
oh
right,
damn.
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Don't say the N word. TikTok can catch that shit like nothing. And they took him out. God damn it. All right, so looking at the comments. All right, folks. And by the way, let me make it clear again. I don't ban you for shit you gotta say in the live. Even if it's totally insulting to the host, I let folks speak. But I can't control the TikTok gods. I cannot control the authority above me. So I haven't, fortunately, even though I run a program like this where we got folks as far left as Bernie Sanders and as far right as QAnon, I haven't had a guest use the N word on the program in about 6 months. Wow. All right, going back to the box. Okay, Loving Life 9-7. You get them all. Okay, fair enough. Wow. Wasn't expecting it. Loving Life, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. So I was wondering, well, one thing that I heard is that what did they call him, the War Machine or something like that? The guy that we traded for Griner. What's his name
Yeah,
again?
they call him
Well,
the not the merchant of death. He was selling weapons. The merchant of
yeah,
death or something like they were calling him. Yeah, what about him?
right, right. Well, my understanding is he's actually locked up over there in Russia right now, anyways, from my understanding.
Well, even if so, there was no promise to us that they were going to incarcerate him. We just let him free. It was up to Russia to
Right.
do what they wanted to do with him. But think about this though. You have been captured by the other side, the adversaries. You've been incarcerated on the other side for 13 years, meaning the CIA has had access to you for 13 continuous years. They could have done everything from sticking probes up your ass to tagging you like a dog.
Yeah.
They're not going to release you back into society after 13. We don't know. You could be working for the CIA at this point. So they're going to hold them for a while just because
Oh
of how
yeah.
long we had them.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, they didn't
And
even
so,
held even Brittany Griner was held for a week. I mean, she was only over there for 9 months and they didn't even let her ass go right away.
yep. So basically, so he's over there, and so I mean, I don't know why we're even making such a big deal that we got Griner back. It's not really such a big deal.
Well, the reason they're making a big deal is because we let go of a guy who has blood on his hands, who has killed people. But we
Right.
believe he's actually killed people and intended to kill more Americans. She had a vape pen. So, in terms of equality, Brittany Griner was essentially a misdemeanor to a multiple felon. So the equality of the candidates, of the incarcerated, whatever term I'm looking for, the condemned, it doesn't match. That's what people were bitching about.
Oh, okay, I get it now. I mean,
Yeah,
but to me, I mean, I mean, we actually got Bin Laden. So if we could get Bin Laden, that would be basically, not such a big
okay,
deal.
I don't get how that's related to this though. I mean, they're complaining because Brittany Griner releasing a known terrorist for Brittany Griner doesn't seem like it measures up. I don't know where Bin Laden comes in, but that's what they're complaining about.
Yeah, because I mean, like basically us letting them go doesn't mean that we really actually let them go. If you understand what I'm saying.
No, I don't. Elaborate.
Uh, well, CIA intelligence and all that stuff. Like basically, when they let him go, and when he left that way, they could have put a tag on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Russia's going to check for all of that. Once he comes home, he's going to be X-rayed. They're going to check his blood and everything. And I'll give you an example. Me personally, I lived in Australia for a period of time, and to get
Mhm.
residency, they did all kinds of shit to me. I mean, I had to take blood tests, X-rays. They checked my medical history. They ran my fingerprints through Interpol, through the FBI, through the state of Illinois, and through the local police in Chicago. They ran all of my shit. Now, a guy like that, they're going to take that dude apart. I mean, they're going to sit and give him all kinds of psychology evaluations and everything. He would not be free to roam around Russia probably for at least a year, which is why I told folks who were suggesting that he's going to go right back into his old life.
Yeah, that's
Vladimir
probably
Putin
why
would
they
not
locked him
trust him.
up.
Yeah, Vladimir Putin would not trust him after being in CIA custody for 13 years to just
Oh
go
yeah,
roam in the streets. I don't believe that.
yeah, that's probably why they locked him up then.
Yeah. I mean, it makes
'Cause they
sense. I
don't-
mean, you would. So I want to ask you about a second topic before we move it on. The Democrats are going to release Trump's taxes. He fought for 6 years to prevent that. Why do you think he fought so long to release his
Because
taxes?
he wasn't. I already seen his tax returns because he wasn't paying no taxes at all. And all those taxes that he lied about, he said that he was paying taxes.
Mhm.
Basically, he lied about it like all the way around, and like everybody was like, "Oh, he pays taxes," but he was getting money while he was in office from even our own his own secret service.
Yeah. So it was just to prevent embarrassment. I mean, because all
Yeah.
chances are most businessmen in Trump's same situation would do the same thing. So it's not like he didn't commit any crimes. That doesn't sound like he used the system in the way it allowed him to use it.
Yeah, to an extent, but I mean, like, I don't believe that he should have charged his secret service. I mean, for being there. I mean, they're his bodyguards. That's kind of ridiculous. I mean, you're just making money everywhere, taking from everybody he can.
Yeah, but we're not against a successful businessman making money, are we?
No, no, not against that, but I mean, basically, like, you know, on the other side, the Magans were saying, no, oh no, he's not taking money from us. He's not taking money from us, but he was.
All right, fair enough. You don't have a. I gotta move it on, but you don't have a fire going on in the background over there, do you? I hear something beeping.
Yeah, happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Hey, you too. Take care, man. Real quick in the comments, I'll go right back. But in the comments, appreciate the Corn Star. Absolutely a friend of the program. Happy holidays to you, Corn Star. Merry Christmas to get it politically correct. In the comments, someone said, looks like it says Michael Lyons. You got a question for the host? Go ahead and state that. If you want to come in the box, we'll definitely entertain that as well. Better yet, you're in the box. Let's take Michael Lyons on. All right, Mr. Lyons, if the TikTok gods let you in. Good afternoon, Lyons.
How you doing, sir? Glad to see you
I'm
on
doing
here.
absolutely a pleasure. What's your
But,
question you got today?
Uh, do you pay more taxes than Trump?
Apparently, federally, I do. Yeah,
So do I.
apparently I do.
I mean, I like your program. I watched it here quite a few times. I really appreciate it. I still
Thank
hate that red hat behind you. I understand why you got it there, but I hate it. Can't stand seeing it.
Let me
But
say something about the red hat. There are folks, and I want you to give me your spiel on this. What do you think it's true or not? There are folks that suggest that this hat will actually the legacy of this hat will go down very similar to the Confederate flag, where it will represent controversy for the rest of our lives. Do you think there's any possibility of that?
Yes, I believe it will. See, I'm from the South. I'm in a red state, red county, red. Oh God, you just don't know. But anyway, yes, it will. It'll go down the same way. I really do
Wow.
believe it. But I'm just glad to see you're down here doing both sides like that. But like I say, I can't stand that red hat, sir. I just can't stand it.
Okay.
That's the hate. That is a
It's
hate
crazy.
flag right there.
Yeah, it's crazy what his a red hat with white writing on it. It's gotten to the point. Maybe it's just me, but you guys let me know in the comments, and you too, sir. If you see someone wearing a red hat out in public with anything white on the front of it, do you automatically want to check and make sure that's not a Trump hat?
Yes, I do. I do.
It's really, it's gotten to the point where I don't even know how the Cincinnati Reds can play a ball game anymore.
Here's the question I was going to ask. I'm sorry I took so long. I'm from the South. We talk a lot. Anyway,
Right.
do you believe it Trump's a traitor to America? I'd like to have your honest opinion.
Well, when you say he's a traitor to America, a traitor to, in behalf of who? Like, is he doing something against America in favor of another country? I don't know if I would take it that far. I think Trump was power drunk. I think he would have done anything he could to remain in power, but I don't think he was trying to benefit another country specifically while in office.
Even though he's what he's doing to the Constitution, trying to wipe his hind end with the Constitution.
He could certainly be trying to impose a dictatorship or something like that. Now he's not the first president, though, to come along and try to alter the Constitution. I mean, how many liberals want to tear the Second Amendment apart? So he's not the first. His wording of it is terrible. But at the same time, I don't think that he wants to sell out America to Russia or China or nobody like that. So I don't know if he meets the definition of a traitor.
Okay, I'll accept that.
All right, fair enough. All right, good talk. Appreciate it. I got to move it on. You're welcome back anytime, man.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely a pleasure. Have a good holiday. All right. In the comment, to me, it symbolizes hypocritical behavior. There's a lot of that in politics. I don't think there's no such thing as a politician that has not been a hypocrite here or there somewhere. It doesn't matter if you support Trump or you despise Trump. You should see hypocrisy. If not, you're biased. I could point out plenty of hypocritical behavior coming from the left and from the right. Plenty of things that Trump did that we hated, and when one of our guys do it, we look the other way, and vice versa. Plenty of things that Trump did that the folks on the right just, defended, protected, and when it came from somebody else, all of a sudden it was wrong. Such as Trump suggested with Hillary Clinton, anytime somebody pleads the fifth, it means they got something to hide, they work for the mob. His audience cheered and championed that statement on. All of a sudden, Trump started pleading the fifth. Well, they are after him. The liberal media is trying to take him down. He should plead the fifth. Well, then that's the whole, if you plead the fifth, you work for the mob, shit doesn't make any sense anymore. So there's plenty of hypocrisy out there. Looking in the box, it is Unapologetic Black Man. Always a friend of the program, always welcome on the program. Unapologetic. We're talking about a few issues. We can start out with Trump's taxes, but I want to know how you feel about Biden teaming up with Zelensky against Russia as well. But what do you think? 6 years to hide his taxes. What was the purpose of that?
Oh, my goodness. We talking about taxes?
We're talking about you sound like Allen Iverson, not showing up to practice.
Man, I'm like, what's his name? Wesley Snipes. Like, what we talking about taxes again? But I guess we're gonna we know that when they call him Teflon Don, they mean that nothing accounts for him. I don't care if it's bullying, bashing, calling people out their names and saying people aren't American citizens. Trump can do it and only him. And it's the same thing for his taxes.
Since you brought up Teflon Don, there's a host of shit orbiting around Trump. Do you think he will survive most of these cases, and now the January 6th hearing committee is recommending he's criminally charged. Do you think any of that stuff will actually stick to him?
If it does, I don't think any of it disqualifies him for being a president, if I'm correct.
Well, the classified documents, I think that might
Well,
have an
yeah,
issue.
most of the things that Trump is trying to be in charge for, he could still be president if he gets charged and convicted for those things, and he will still get the same amount of voters. But as far as the insurrection,
Wait a minute. You said you still get the same amount of voters. Now, the
oh
Republican
yeah,
Party, certainly throughout the Black Lives Matter era, have been stating constantly that they are the party of law and order. Yet you're telling me that if Trump is found to be a felon, found convicted of any of this, they'd still vote for him, being the party of law and order?
yeah. I mean, their number one argument is that they've been aiming for Trump. It'll be a political stunt, even if he's convicted. It still will be a political stunt in their eyes. His voters would be like, they did that, so he can't run for president. Like he still can, and we're gonna still vote for him. That's their number one argument. It doesn't matter if he's convicted or not; they're still gonna vote for him. They've proven
Mm.
that before. He's been convicted of stealing from kids with cancer. They still voted for him.
Is
Like
that
he
true?
can't.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, he can't. Trump can never run another charity in his name. He can't do that again.
When did that
They don't.
happen?
I can't remember the year. You know, I have a
So,
lot of
but
things.
this is the reason I'm asking you when it happened. So, this is long before he was president, where folks could
Yeah,
say it was a hit job by the liberals.
yeah.
Mm.
But I mean,
In the,
That's when he was claiming he was a liberal. So they didn't care. They was like, oh, another
well,
liberal stealing from kids. So
in the comments, just let go is saying what you're alleging is not true. I need to figure that. I never heard that before. But in the
you can. I
comments,
mean,
just let go is.
I've never given you information that you looked up and been like, oh, unapologetic lies. It's just like with
Yeah.
January 6th. Did you look up the video with Janine and Trump, September 9th, 2020?
Well, elaborate. Let me know what you're talking about.
It was about January 6th, basically. Before January 6th, September 9th, 2020, Judge Janine and Trump sat in the garden or whatever, the White House, and she asked him if Antifa or Black Lives Matter or protesters, liberals, try to stop the certification when you win, will you stop it? And he said, yeah, squash that shit in seconds. Like there will never be a January 6th. I will make sure, sir, BLM and Antifa will not stop the certification if I win. So just for
No, I
the
didn't see that.
argument of, yeah, just for the argument of people saying Pelosi had the power and this and that, Trump, like Trump said, if it was Black Lives Matter, if he would have won and there would have been opposition at January 6th, he would have squashed it in seconds. You can look it up.
Wow. Yeah,
September
I
9th.
have not seen that. Yeah, I have not
Yeah.
seen that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. Judge, what is the lady name from the woman from Fox?
Fox News,
Judge
Judge Janine Pirro.
Janine. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's at the White House talking to Trump September 9th, 2020. Look it up.
Yeah, I know. I have not heard that, but I believe that because Trump would often say things though, even whether he could or couldn't. He was a larger than life politician, so he would, I know more about the military or I know more about terrorism than anybody. That was just his way of saying things, even though a lot of it was not true, and people knew it was not true when he was saying it. But he was always promising that he could do something really big and really huge. I mean,
No,
so
he was proving to us that he could because he did it for a photo op. You remember? He
yeah,
used
I do
military. He
remember
did.
that.
Yeah, because he was letting warning people. If you guys want to stop the certification, I would do the same damn thing I did to the across the street at that church, and we would shut it down in seconds. So again, it's just like I said. When it comes to Trump, he's the only person that could do it. He's the only person that can ridicule uh, opponents before he's even running. He's the only person that can fucking throw his bid in for presidency in 2 years before. 2 years before. Come on,
Yeah.
you Trump has been so influential inside the Republican Party. Uh, his percentage of voters and constituents are overwhelmingly what most Republicans need to win to still control the House, to try to win a presidency. If a candidate Just think about now. Trump has already threw his hat into the ring. Why would
Right.
any Republican? Why would any Republican try to primary against him?
Well, I mean, you might want to, not, maybe if you're DeSantis, you might think about it, but
That's
folks who are
dumb.
like, there are plenty of Republicans that do not want Trump to win, such as the Liz Cheneys. I would believe that Mitch McConnell probably don't want him to win either. So there are
And
plenty
that's
of
dumb.
Republicans that might go against Trump just because
And
he
they will
treated
be
them so
dumb.
bad.
They will be dumb. You're gonna start seeing tusks growing out their forehead every time they're gonna start transforming into a freaking rhino. You cannot go against
Yeah,
Trump right now,
yeah,
regardless if Trump numbers are decreasing every day with the tweets and the FNTs and the associations of people coming and visiting him. He still has more than 17 to 21% of the Republican Party. if
yeah.
he if nobody
So you
if
believe the Republican nomination is his for the taking?
I mean, again, I understand that people are going to like McCarthy and McConnell or them going at it with majority leader and speaker. The Republican Party is always going to have favorites, but you can't push anybody against, even if Trump still is wielding 1/3 of their uh, voters. You can't
Yeah,
go against a guy like that. You have to let him squeak by once again, regardless if he's going to be, the same age as Biden, even if his mental state has decreased to the point where he's playing with trading cards again. You can't, you, you
well,
can't
Trump is,
deny him.
yeah, but Trump is pretty sharp right now. I don't think that
Yeah.
folks, even on the left, believe that Trump is in mental decline, do they?
I know, and that's the point that I'm making. You can't go against a guy like that at this point. If they
Yeah,
try to decrease his likeness, how they love him, if they do that within the next 2 years, somebody may have a shot. But at the moment, when he said, let's play this Game of Thrones game again,
right.
nobody wants to play with him. Even DeSantis, it takes up for herself more than Ted Cruz did,
Yeah.
or
Well,
any primary.
guys,
But
it's still 2 years
DeSantis knows.
away though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But DeSantis, if you notice, he's walking on the fence right now. He's trying to make Florida happy because he knows that he has a for sure spot in Florida. But when it comes to America and Trump, he knows that he's gonna have to let
It's
the
different.
voters decide
It's
that. Yeah,
different.
he's
Yeah.
not gonna go back and forth with Trump. No
All right.
Republican is right now. I mean, except for other people that's mentally declining with Trump, like McConnell,
Right.
Pelosi. If you
Well,
notice,
like
those
I
older
said,
people, they
yeah, like
like
I
that
said,
retirement home
yeah,
war.
like I said, it's 2 years is a long way away. But I got to
Yeah,
move it on, black man. Good talk. Always
it's always
welcome
a
back.
pleasure, man.
All right. In the comments, life is good if you allow it. I like that. I like that. Loose lug nuts. What about the $40 billion Biden and Democrats want to send to Ukraine in this Safe Act bill? Geo 2323. What about the 40 billion? It appears as if a large portion of America supports what Joe Biden is doing. So, in my opinion, you guys, like I said, you're free to disagree all you want. We'll definitely talk about it in the box if you want to come in. Give you plenty of time to state your point. Even if you disagree with the host 100%, don't worry about ever being banned, censored, or blocked here. I always defend your First Amendment free speech rights. In my opinion, though, the American public are more on the side of helping the Ukrainians than not. You mentioned 40 billion to the Ukrainians. In my opinion, if Biden upped it to 60 million, he would get support there as well. Because at the end of the day, there are plenty of folks on the right that also see Russia as an enemy. So even though we don't want to send taxpayer dollars to help the Ukrainians, we feel that weakening Russia is money well spent. And for the Biden administration, what the hell are they going to say if they back off, do not send money to the Ukrainians, Russia takes over the Ukrainians, and then come election time, you got a host of people on the right saying that Biden is weak, and under his watch, Vladimir Putin was able to acquire the Ukraine and strengthen his take towards rebranding the Soviet Union. Under what he's doing now, he is weakening Russia. But if he did what folks on the right are suggesting, which is let that shit play itself out, and Russia was able to take over the Ukrainians, the right would actually use that against them. Under your watch, unlike Trump, when Trump was in office, we didn't get into any major conflict. Here you come along, and Russia was able to take over the Ukraine and literally go back towards strengthening themselves and reconstructing the Soviet Union. That's exactly what would happen. So giving the right what the right wants is only going to be used against you as a weapon come election time. It just doesn't make any sense. I would give you the same advice if this was happening to Trump. This is something you should be able to see as clear as day. But I'm going to go back to the box. It is Joby R. Welcome back to the program, Joby. We're sending old weapons that have a dollar value, not actually dollars. I don't know. The Patriot system is not old weapons. Joby, good afternoon.
I just had to share this with you before I go, but I got my NFT card. And,
you paid the $99?
I got lucky. I got 1 in 10,000, man. I got 1 in 10,000. Check this out. See what it says?
I can't read.
1 in every 10,000 cards will have a genuine piece of a classified top secret document. Check this shit out. Check it out, man. Look at that right in the corner.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. You've given us our humor for today. By the way, Trump looks really fit there on the picture there. But oh my God. Okay. All right. What was that about? Was that a campaign? I mean, what was that whole thing about?
Another way to grift his believers. That's
he
about
sold
it.
Out.
4 points.
And yeah. he claims he sold out. I don't even know. I mean, shit. That sounds like something that Meghan Trainor or Taylor Swift would do. A former president of the United States. I don't get it.
Did you know? Imagine if Barack Obama or Joe Biden put out a bunch of NFT cards. Can you just think about what would go down?
Well, shit, if Barack Obama did it, he would be a fucking black supremacist. They would really go off if Obama did it. But if a white candidate did it, it would be laughable, just like it is with Trump doing it. But yeah, if Obama did it, they were already calling Obama the Messiah. I think Sean Hannity used to call him the Messiah or the chosen one or whatever. The man starts selling cards, and keep in mind, unlike Trump, Obama could actually take off his fucking t-shirt. So if he started doing that, yeah, they would be calling him a black supremacist. No, that you certainly couldn't do that.
I was just laughing how when Trump was selling the cards out, he said these were things that reflected his life. And I'm just thinking, I don't remember the last time he was an astronaut or a ranger or held the Statue of Liberty's torch in his hand.
All right, listen. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because there's no way to go down this rabbit hole without bashing the hell out of Trump. That shit is goofy as hell. But I appreciate the input. I got to move it on. You got my jaws hurting, man.
All right, bro.
Good talk. Good. Oh, there's no way to discuss that whole NFT. I mean, listen, even if you are a strong Trump supporter, you gotta admit that shit's goofy as hell. Can you imagine Nancy Pelosi selling them damn cards? So even if you really love Trump and believe he is the going candidate for 2024, he is the one that would lead America down the right direction, that shit should still be goofy as hell to you. So there's no way to discuss that without bashing Trump because it is fucking hilarious. But anyway, going back to the comments, stop being racist, brother. Change it up. Mike Davis, how am I being racist? Really? But you're, by the way, you're free to come into the box and elaborate on it. I won't ban, block, or censor you. Give you plenty of time to get your spiel in. By the way, if you come in the box, even if your comments are insulting or you disagree with the host, as long as it's on topic, I don't mind letting you get your point across. Free speech is always what reigns here. So let me know. If you think I'm being racist on the subject, come in here and let me know. Maybe I need to be corrected. There is a white supremacist version of NFT cards. Really? Wow, is there? Wow. I'd like to see that. You don't understand what those cards mean. then yeah, let me know. Okay, so user 657 says, I don't understand. Listen, the cards are goofy as hell, but if there is some type of hidden message in them, some type of Illuminati type shit, or sea scrolls or something, let me know. And also, folks in the audience, we all could end up discussing this. Like I always make it clear on all of my broadcasts, I don't have all the answers, as Kanye West once yelled out to Sway. You don't have the answers, Sway. I don't have all the answers. That's why I like talking to the folks. That is why I like talking and reaching across the aisle and having civilized dialogue with folks who represent the other party. Sometimes I get answers for things that I didn't know. I understand the left-wing media doesn't always tell the whole story. Both sides of the aisle, the media has an agenda. Best way to thwart that, have a conversation with the folks. That's what we're doing here. Looking in the comments. Educate us, please. That is the attempt here. The cards were photoshopped and images were illegally used. Wow. Now, the artist that really loved Trump, that drew these pictures, you're suggesting that he didn't even ask them for permission to use their likeliness to make money off of them? That would be awful. Because if these pictures were drawn by folks who identify as Trump supporters, and you got to assume that anyone that would draw Trump on the side of Mount Rushmore or looking like Superman, they're probably Trump supporters. He could have easily asked them, can I do some type of campaign funding off of your pictures? And they would have said yes. So if he did it without even asking, I don't know. That's crazy that they can, that if he's facing a lawsuit from them, which you can understand why. If I'm nice enough to send you some shit, and all of a sudden I find out you're making millions of dollars off of it, yeah, I might want to cut all of a sudden. I mean, like, damn, toss a brother something. So he should have at least asked them for permission. I got to assume there's a 99% chance that any MAGA individual that believes Trump is the one to make America great would love to see him making some campaign contributions come into the campaign off of their artwork. They would have said, yeah. So if he didn't do that, that's just a negligent oversight. Looking in the comments. Trump made millions and they keep giving him money. Hilarious, says Jay. Yeah, well, there are people who believe Trump is far better for leading this country forward than Biden. If it means they have to give up a few bucks to make sure he's reelected, they're going to do that. You can't hate on that. I mean, listen, I'm a liberal. I lean left. You know what my politics may be. But I can't hate on someone willing to give a little if they think it'll ultimately lead to them making a lot. Regardless of what you think about Biden, you got to admit the economy sucks right now. Maybe you don't think it's his fault. We can debate that. But right now, the economy under Biden is not doing great. Folks who are donating money to Trump believes he can turn it around. I don't fault them for doing that. Looking in the comments. Why do you support him? I'm not, listen, I lean left, so I'm not in the camp of supporting Trump. However, I'm also not in the camp of believing all things Trump are bad. There's good and bad to everyone. And I'm pointing that out. That's what we do the program about. It's not a liberal program where we just bash folks on the right. It's obviously not a right-wing program where we just bash everybody on the left. What we try to avoid doing here is maintaining some sort of an echo chamber. There's a lot of places on social media that I would encourage you to check out for you guys who wonder about echo. If that's what you like, is echo chambers where you got liberals, all liberals just simply bashing the hell out of folks on the right, I would encourage you to scroll and check some of those pages out. And there are plenty of other pages you can go to where you got a guy with a red hat on as a host, and everyone in the box is wearing the red hat. And liberals are libtards. There are plenty of places to go like that. But here we entertain dialogue from both sides of the aisle, and we do it civilly. I mean, apparently there's not a whole lot of programs like this, but here is one. And I appreciate you guys rolling with your boy and tuning in. Looking in the comments. Why you got that red hat hanging above your head then? Every single broadcast I have to explain the red hat, and that's fine. The purpose of the red hat is to let folks on the right know this is a MAGA-friendly program. In fact, MAGA are my preferred guest. Liberals are welcome, but MAGA are my preferred guest. The hat is my light in the middle of the night to let them know your First Amendment free speech rights will always be protected here. Simply put, I strongly believe that the right do not always get a fair shake when it comes to the media, particularly MAGA. They often get canceled, censored, or blocked. I think that's wrong. So when they come to my program, my little tiny ass corner of social media, they'll be allowed to speak. You don't have to agree. Fact is, we're able to speak. If we can reach across the aisle and talk to people that do not sound like us and maintain civilized dialogue, we're showing that it can also be done in Washington. They're just not trying to do it. So that's what the hat is for. Looking in the comments, MAGAs are awful. They are not Republicans. Big difference. Moosey, they are legal constituents. They can vote. Their opinion matters. Even if you think they're awful, their opinion matters come election day. You need to hear what they're saying. That is the reason Trump got elected in the first place, is you had a large group of people who felt they were being ignored. And that's where you lead down a path of people who are ostracized, teaming up and voting against what you might think is the right way to go. So every voter has a right to speak. At least here they do. Looking in the comments, MAGA Live is trash. Okay. Trump 2024 says user 657. Okay, fair enough. Let's make it happen. The people that bought these cards are the same people complaining about the gas prices. How is that? I don't get how those two things are tied in together, though. I mean, there's no denying that gas prices are up, and there is a legitimate reason to complain about the gas prices. I don't know what buying the cards have to do with complaining, but there is a reason to complain about the gas prices. New Jersey Nightmare. Welcome back to the page, Nightmare. Good afternoon.
What's up, my brother? How are you today?
I'm doing good. Good to have you back on. 6 years not showing this. You know, the Trump taxes, now that they've been released, I mean, was it really that bad? Why would the guy fight that tooth and nail for 6 years?
I think we have yet to see most of them. I think there's still tax records that we still have yet to see going into his past deep. I think we'll still find a big connection between him and the Russians going back years.
But with the Democrats releasing his stuff, when Republicans and Trump supporters in particular say that this shows that the Democrats or the liberals are politicizing his taxes, can you really argue with that? I mean, doesn't it look like we're politicizing this?
When he came out and said, I'll release the taxes as soon as I win, and he did, and it didn't happen, no, I'll argue that the Democrats are helping Trump keep his word.
I've never seen it put that way. You know, he did also state that he would release his taxes after the audit was complete, and it apparently appears that there was no audit even taking place.
Which goes to show you how much of a bullshitter he is, and not even a very good one.
Wow. Okay, fair. What about, let's go to the other topic. We understand Trump's taxes are not very favorable, but in regards to Biden helping out Zelensky, do you think that's a good move for this nation, getting into a proxy war with Russia?
If we don't stop him there, he goes on to elsewhere. He will attack other nations. This is a man bent on restoring the Soviet Union. Remember, this guy spent 30 years with the KGB. He was never a friend of ours. He never will be a friend of ours. And chances are,
Trump spoke favorably of him. I mean, you couldn't see the relationship between Russia and the United States improving if Trump was reaching out to him.
Reaching out, having private conversations without translators, without anybody else in the room. Who knows what the hell they said to each other? Who knows what's going on there? That's the problem. We know that he was in debt to the Russians even before he became president. So what's he been doing to pay off his debts?
Oh, so you think he may have hidden debts to the nation of Russia?
There wasn't that long ago. I think it was Trump Jr. I forget which one it was. It says, "Oh yeah, we've done a lot of business with the Russians over the years." Oh really? Why? What's been going on there? What's it? He wanted to put a Trump Tower in Moscow, for fuck's sake. Nah, there's more to the story. There's more digging to be done.
Wow. So do you think, because obviously the man is being referred to oftentimes as Teflon Don, do you think any of this stuff is ultimately going to take this guy down. I mean, whether it's the January 6th committee suggesting that he be criminally charged to the DOJ, you got cases in New York, you got what we're talking about now with the taxes. I mean, there's a lot of things orbiting around Trump. There's something going on down in Georgia with the Find Me 11,000 votes. Do you think any of this stuff at the end of the day is going to lead to some type of a conviction or some type of, takedown with the former president?
Yes, because the shit is piled too high not to be noticed. There's so many charges on him for so many things. We're not talking about one thing or two things. There's so many coming from every direction. It's not even funny. Sexual assault cases, rape cases. That's the tip of the iceberg. Everything he did while in office. As far as I'm concerned, he should go to jail for his bad handling of COVID. There's so much, dude. It's not even funny. The crap is piling up on top of each other. He's done. Now, listen, would I would love to see him in like the orange jumpsuit and the handcuffs and the leg shackles? Sure. Is that really going to happen? Probably not. My bet, at the best, we're going to get like life house arrest. That's what I think we're going to end up. He'll be stuck in his fucking mansion till the day he dies, sadly. I wish it was more than that.
Well, but what if it appeared as though any type of conviction of President Trump, whether it led to handcuffs or house arrest, as you're alluding to, what if it appeared as if it could lead to a major case of civil unrest in this country? Do you think we would still pursue him if we were advised ahead of time this could lead to January 6th on steroids?
I think if they try January 6th again, the outcome is not going to be in their favor this time. This time they're going to get. This time we're talking about serious violence. We're talking about serious, National Guard, military even have to be called in, and sadly there's going to be a lot of death. I don't ever want to see it. I wish January 6th had never happened, but it did. And now we pass this point. Can we really see our nation reunifying? Can we mend those fences? Before January 6th, I'd say yes. After, probably not.
Yeah, but when you're talking about if there was another one, there would be violence and things like that. No, make no mistake about it. Even if you're in the National Guard, there are a lot of military personnel that believe Trump is a better leader than Biden. If something went down like another January 6th, I mean, can we be sure that they would all follow orders? I mean, there's a lot of people who support Trump that are wearing military outfits.
Right, but even they know at the end of the day, Trump's not their president. He's gone. He's done. He lost the election. Legitimately lost the election. Biden is their president.
But no. There are plenty of people in the military, in the Capitol Police, that were letting them in. There are plenty of people who don't believe Trump lost the election, that have badges and have taken oaths. There are plenty of sworn officers that do not believe Trump lost that election.
At the end of the day, they're going to have a decision to make. Follow their oath as a member of the United States government, or betray it and commit treason. That will be the choice they will have at that moment. Now, what would they do to the individual? I don't know. I think some will go one way and some will go the other.
Right. So if that's the case, where now you're suggesting that even the military could be divided, how could you stop a larger event like January 6th, where it's a possibility that even some of the military may join them?
There's got to be a moment. I picture a moment where Biden will be in the Capitol, and he's got to have retired General Milley and the other Joint Chiefs of Staff and other heads of all the military branches standing alongside with him, shoulder to shoulder, and simply saying the law is going to be followed. This is the United States government. We're not going to allow another insurrection to happen, and to stand by through it all, whatever may go down. And the soldiers have got to see these heads of the Joint Chiefs of Staff standing there alongside him, who believe in defending this country, who believe in defending the Constitution, to do the right thing. And there are those who will do and those that won't. In the end, it may be unavoidable. I hope it doesn't happen, but it may be unavoidable.
Well, and the reason I asked you that, because even in the comments, looks like Don Hedger is stating that there are many white supremacists in law enforcement. Do you think in 2022, right now in this day and age, there's still a lot of that within the ranks of law enforcement?
When you see cops out there beating the bejesus out of a black... There's another story. You see the picture where the two cops are smiling, showing their hands with bloody knuckles, after they got done beating the bejesus out of a black man for pretty much nothing.
When
It
did
just
this
happened
happen?
the other day.
No, what city or where's this at?
Yeah, that's the thing. I got to look up. It's been on TikTok recently. They were asking him to get out of the car, and the moment goes, "Why?" And they just fucking grab him and start beating the shit out of him. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I see some people in the comments who said they saw it. Anybody know a little? Because I would like to see that. You said they were two cops are beating the guy, and they're actually taking pleasure. They're smiling about it.
Yeah, they were literally. Then there's pictures of them standing there with a big smile on their face, and their hands are pointing. And the one that's got his hands pointing down with bloody knuckles and just a big grin on his face, like he was enjoying it.
I haven't seen it on the news wires other than social media. That sounds like that's something that should actually be. I mean, you wouldn't see it on Fox, but CNN and MSNBC would certainly play that. I'm gonna have to look that up because I have not heard of that. Some of the folks in the audience are saying they think it's in Louisiana. I haven't heard
That
of it.
sounds about right. I think it was Louisiana. I think Jay. I didn't catch his full name. It Jan RDH 74. It just was in Louisiana.
Yeah, I see somebody said it was a homeless army
But here's
veteran.
the thing:
Wow.
when you look at how old white supremacist groups are, it doesn't really surprise you that a bunch of them are in law enforcement. They put them there on purpose. This is for
Well,
intelligence.
Well, but the thing is, you now have a lot of top cops that are people of color. So it's not like where the police department used to be all white. So you could easily do this. Now you got a lot of top cops. I mean, you just had Larry Holder under the Obama administration, who was literally the top cop in the country. So you would even if they're there, it's more difficult to operate because you have so many people of color in powerful positions that could hold them accountable. That did not used to exist.
Sure, in major areas, in big city areas, you'll see more of that, and there should be more African American. There should be more black people in higher powers of, in greater numbers in commanding positions in law enforcement. But you've got a lot of places out in the Middle West, out in nowhere, where you've got a bum hick sheriff's department who's loaded up with white supremacists. Sundown towns, they still
Yeah,
exist. You think after all this day in the age of 21st century, there wouldn't be sundown towns anymore, but there's still a shit ton out there. There's a
yeah,
little website you can look up to list them all.
yeah. The crazy thing is, I used to be an over the road driver. I've been in all of the lower 48 states, and I've been in some pretty damn rural areas. I mean, I've been in some areas where, you didn't have civilization for 50, 60 miles. Fortunately, I didn't come across nothing like that. But yeah, it's frightening to know in 2022, a sundown town could even still exist. But Nightmare, I got to move it on. Appreciate you coming through, man.
I appreciate you. You have a great day.
Absolutely a pleasure. Hey, I didn't get a lot of MAGA through the live today. It happens. Like I said, this is a MAGA friendly program, and MAGA are my preferred guests. However, I can't make them come on. Some of the topics are not Trump friendly. That's fine. Gives you a chance to defend or condemn on certain topics. But then again, in the case of Biden and Zelensky, that's not an anti-Trump topic. It was a topic in regards to whether you think that was a good thing, what Biden is doing in regards to helping the Ukraine or not. So that's not a Trump bashing topic. But make no mistake about it, Trump is far more interesting in regards to politics than Biden is. Biden was literally voted in to make politics boring again. I mean, he was supposed to unite the country. Many would suggest he's failed at doing that, and that's an understandable claim. But when it comes to the discussion of politics, the interest in politics and things of that nature, Biden is not very interesting. He just isn't. And the interest in Trump is probably what led to the largest political turnout in voter history. He is far more interesting in politics. If Trump announces that he's not going to run again in 2024, my guess is the voter turnout will drop substantially. Now, you're going to have a hell of a lot of Biden detractors. That's fine. But you got a lot of folks on the left, particularly people of color, that don't tend to show up to vote very often. I don't think Biden would get a huge amount of support like he did in 2020, because the support for Biden in 2020 was not support for Biden. It was a vote against Trump. Take Trump off the ballot and all of those anti-Trump liberal votes go away. It's not going to energize as many people, but Trump certainly energized people to either vote for him or vote against him. I don't think Biden has that type of energy behind him. In fact, even for folks on the left, I get people on the program all the time, left-wingers, liberals that believe Biden is doing a good job. And when you ask them a simple question of, should he run again in 2024, they say no. So in other words, he's doing a great job, but I don't want him anymore. That almost sounds like a counterpoint. So I don't know. We will come out against death sentence. Mufasa 120. I don't know if DeSantis would get the anti-right-wing vote to anywhere near the level of Trump. I just don't think that in the short time in politics DeSantis has been around, he hasn't been as controversial as Trump. And I would submit this to you. If DeSantis were to run again and receive the anti-vote that you're discussing, it would be because the liberals would be trying to portray him as Trump. The liberals would be saying that DeSantis is Trump light. You got to tie a Republican to Trump to get that type of fear or that type of angst. Just simply bringing up what DeSantis did alone would not create that type of dislike for him. They would be saying he's the same as Trump. They're going to try to make DeSantis into Trump because Trump gets out the anti-vote. Nowhere near like this. DeSantis can't come close to that. Time for younger generations to take over, says Loose Lugnuts. Well, the only way that can happen is they have to reliably show up to the polls. And they often don't. They often do not. Like, you often get folks on the right that suggest that the liberals are tied with Black Lives Matter, or anytime you bring up January 6th, for instance, I'll give you a comparison. Anytime you bring up January 6th, you get folks on the right to say, well, what about the Black Lives Matter protests? If you're going to blame the right for January 6th, you got to blame the left for Black Lives Matter. Well, the difference is the folks operating on January 6th were voters. The folks operating in the Black Lives Matter riots were opportunists. I don't believe that every guy walking out of a Best Buy with a television was a registered Democrat. The overwhelming majority of the people that were participating in the January 6th protests were actually going to vote for Trump. Many of them are wearing hats and apparel and shit like that. There's not a lot of pro-Obama or Biden apparel being seen at a Black Lives Matter rally. They're there to protest police. They don't give a shit about politicians. In fact, a lot of Black Lives Matter members don't think Biden is that great either. So the Black Lives Matter protesters, and I'm not defending the Black Lives Matter protesters at all, I'm just clarifying that those are not Democrats out there doing that. Those are opportunists. Best Buy's wide open, the windows smashed, there's no police around. And they got TVs out in the open. I'm going to go in there and take one. That's an opportunist. That's not a Democrat. But the guys that were operating on January 6th were legitimately fighting for what they thought was the restoration of Trump back in the office. They were politicians. These were political people. The folks in regards to Black Lives Matter, you can say they're political, but they have nothing to do with what's going on in Washington. They're not out there, setting fires, yelling Biden or we need Obama. They're out there talking about police. It's a whole different comparison. Time for a progressive president, says CLH. I don't believe America's ready for that yet. I just don't. I've said this before on previous broadcasts. You can become a politician in this country if you have the first three letters of the LGBT community. We've kind of normalized the L, the B, and the G. The T as in tango, we're not ready for that yet. I'm not saying it's right, but I do not believe American society is ready for that group of people. So the progressives are woefully in favor of the LGBT and T community. America as a whole is not. Certainly the right is not embracing any of those acronyms, and independents are not very big on the trans community either. So when you talk about America is ready for a progressive president, it depends on how progressive they are. Like the AOC Bernie Sanders types, no. The Elizabeth Warren types, Elizabeth Warren's a little less progressive than AOC and Bernie Sanders, but I strongly believe she's still probably a bit too progressive. And then, of course, you got to understand her detractors are going to add a little bit of seasoning on top of the steak. So if she's here in progression, they're going to put her over here. So I just don't know about the progressive president. I don't think we're quite ready yet, but I could be wrong. And put our statues back, please. Loose lug nuts, in regard, I'm assuming you're talking about the Confederate statues. I don't get that being the hill to die on. I don't get why there is so much love for Confederate heroes or Confederate soldiers. I guess they're heroes in your eyes or whatever. You're talking about something that's 200 plus years ago. I just do not understand why that is such a big argument. You know what that group was standing for. The pride and heritage thing. Listen, when you talk about Southern pride, the South has been part of this country for hundreds of years. The Civil War, in regards to the stars and bars and the Confederate battle flag, only represents a small period of American history. There are loads of other reasons, or other ways rather, to celebrate the South than that one emblem. There's loads of, the peach in Georgia, or you can talk about the rivers in Mississippi. There's a ton of other ways to honor the South than using that one flag that was literally being flown at the most divisive, violent time in American history. Out of everything you could pick, you picked literally the worst era in American history, the time when we were at war and more Americans were dying than in any war we have ever had since. It's only a span of a few years. That's the only symbol to represent the South that you could come up with out of hundreds of years. And that's not deliberate, right? That just accidentally happened like that. Okay, fair enough. All right, the last former Confederate served in Congress till the 1930s. They didn't just stop. No, and also, too, when it comes to the statues, I really believe that they need to publish more, at least in the media, make it more known. Every single statue that is still in place in America, they need to make it more known the exact year that statue was erected. And the reason I'm saying that is for you folks who believe it's all about pride and heritage and it's not racism and things like that. When you look at the year the Civil War took place, back in the 1700s, many of those statues were put up in the middle of the 1900s, in the middle of the 20th century, early 1900s, during the Jim Crow, the Civil Rights era. The statue was not meant to honor what took place during the Civil War. It was meant as a message. This is why I'm saying you should put the year down there. Because when Martin Luther King and civil rights leaders would go to some of these towns to protest busing rights, union rights, or whatever, these towns would put up a Confederate statue in Times Square as a message to let the civil rights protesters come into that town know we're not down with all this civil rights bullshit. So if you could check the dates in which those statues were erected, we know the Civil War took place in the 1700s. Why would you put up a statue of a civil rights or of a Confederate statue in 1930? World War II ended, 70 years? How many World War II soldiers are we giving statues to in 2022? Now, that war has only been over about 70 years or so. Here we're talking about a span of well over 100, almost 200 years. Why are you putting up statues 200 years after the war? So you need to find out when certain statues were put up. If the statue was put up right after the war in the South, we could debate that. But if it's put up in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, that's inexcusable. Particularly if you can show there were major civil rights protests in this town during the time that statue was erected. That statue was there out of hate. I think that's all you need to do to prove whether the statue was there for pride and heritage or was put up as hate. Just simply, and obviously the city governments in all of these towns know exactly when that statue was put up. Just find out the date of all of those statues that were put up, and the ones that were put up out of hate, it's not even an argument why that statue was there. Looking in the comments, you still can't destroy things that are offensive. Well, and I agree with that, not Jen. You don't destroy the statue. You can take it down and put it in a museum or something like that. Can you imagine someone whose father, let's say an American-born citizen whose ancestry is from Iraq. His father fought as part of the Ba'ath Party. His father was on Saddam Hussein's, security team. His father's a Ba'ath Party member, but he lives in Wyoming. You think they would be okay with him putting up a statue of Saddam Hussein? You think there's any chance, any remote chance that statue might get destroyed? That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about people with an evil past being, we're suggesting that you honor them. That's all we're talking about. Looking in the comments. The he people that want statues down don't know anything about history. Give 507. I don't think anyone in reference to those statues are necessarily ignorant on history. I think a lot of it is deliberate. I mean, there is enough, even if you believe that the Confederate flag is about pride and heritage and all of that good stuff, there's enough hatred that is surrounding it to at least ask questions. I mean, out of literally thousands of different flags from different places around the world and different causes, why is so many white supremacists over and over again adopting that one flag as their symbol? That's a legitimate question. Whether you believe it's for pride and heritage or not, that's a legitimate question. Why do they keep adopting this one symbol and taking it over and over again? And it's not just a couple fools in 2022 or some idiot in 1990. We're talking over a span of 100, 200 years. I mean, even if you look at the KKK back in the early 1900s, I'm talking about like turn of the century 1900s, they were using the Confederate flag over 100 years after the Civil War ended. And now you skip from 1900 to 2022, 122 years later, and they're still using this one symbol. Why are they doing that if this is all about pride and heritage? That's a legitimate question no matter what side of the aisle you stand on. Why do they keep coming back to this? If it was just some idiot that grabbed a flag like Dylan Roof in South Carolina or whatever, shot up a bunch of people, and it was one case, that's fine. But it's groups all over the place throughout multiple eras, multiple generations of history, continuing to use that flag. And there's also the other question that I have to ask all the time. I don't care if a U.S. veteran is 90 years old. If they see someone setting the flag on fire, the U.S. flag, if a veteran sees another person setting a U.S. flag on fire, stomping on it, or mistreating the U.S. flag, they will get up and try to kick your ass even if they're 90 years old. All of these folks are suggesting that the Confederate flag is about their pride and heritage, yet when these hate groups use it, they are very silent. You get more outcry on Colin Kaepernick taking a knee than some hateful guy wearing the Confederate flag and murdering people. The outcry is less on the guy Dylan Roof received far less outcry than Colin Kaepernick. Even from the people who are saying the flag is about pride and heritage. If you truly believe that represents your ancestry, you should be pissed off. You should be out there going nuts over what Dylan Roof or some of these other hate groups have done. But yet, this guy takes a knee when the song is playing and you go ape shit. That is what leads people, whether you think it's right or wrong, you're entitled to your opinion, but that is what leads people to think that this is a hateful symbol, is that people can use your symbol, your family's heritage, in a hateful manner, and you don't seem to have a large problem with it. You don't seem to have much to say about this. Why is that? If it's about love and, if it's about pride and heritage and about love, seem like you would say something. I mean, if I was to set the American flag on fire, you'd get up and go nuts. But he can murder somebody with it on his arm, a patch on his arm, and you don't have much to say. That's what leads people to believe that the claim that it is about pride and heritage is just a cloak and dagger thing. But that's my opinion. A lot of you folks obviously disagree. You're fine with that. I can't complain. You have a right to your own opinion. That is just my own personal analysis, is that if it really was about pride and heritage, you would be insulted like hell knowing that whole groups that represent hate is adopting this flag over and over again. You can show up in mass to protect the statue from coming down. You can show up in mass to protest a guy taking a knee. But if a hate group comes into town and stands on the Capitol steps preaching hate with the Confederate flag, nobody's there to protest it. None of the Confederate supporters are there to protest that. That doesn't make sense. You should be out there like you were the statue coming down. Unless you, for some strange reason, and I could be wrong, but unless for some strange reason, you actually agree with their sentiment. Anyhow, folks, this is a lunch break live, as I often say. You could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok. The fact that you're rolling with your boy is always an honor. 24,000 likes, 30 would have been nice. As always, this is a MAGA-friendly program. Despite the name, we always entertain MAGA. MAGA is preferred. We let liberals come on the program as well. I always give you plenty of time to state your point without any fear of censorship, being banned or being blocked. The fact that you may disagree with the host doesn't mean a damn thing. So, until later, you guys be safe, stay politically involved. Happy holidays if I don't catch you guys before Christmas. And have a good one. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'm out.